The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
What is up, my friends? Hope you are all doing amazing today. This is your buddy Joshua Sprague. I am super duper pumped about today's webinar because I've got my good friend Ian Robinson with me. I'm going to be introducing him in just a second, but of course, before we get going, I need to make sure that you can actually hear my voice and see Ian's screen. So if you could, go ahead and do a couple things for me. First off, go ahead and type into the questions box that you've got there in your GoToWebinar panel, and let me know first that you can hear me, and also let me know where you're coming at from in the world. You know, where do you live? It's always super duper fun to find out where people are coming from because people come from all over the place. All right, Janine says, I hear you in Oklahoma. You know, Janine, I am from Oklahoma originally. I'm a Tulsa, Oklahoma native. I haven't lived there for a while now, but 18 years of my life, Tulsa, Oklahoma, baby. All right, Lisa says, I can hear you. I'm in LA. John, hear you. Yeah, Calgary. All right. I'm actually in Edmonton at this moment, John, so not too far away from you. Hey, Kim from Maryland. Awesome. So you guys can hear us. I can hear you, see the screen. I'm in my spare room office. Beth, nice. Okay, awesome. Well, it sounds like everybody can hear us well and see where we are. Now, I'm about to introduce Ian here, but first thing, before we do that, I want to know, like, has anyone actually started their podcast yet? I just want to kind of get a gauge for where people are because I know there's definitely interest in how you start your podcast. And also, I wanted to know, like, hey, have you actually started one yet? So Kim says, no, not yet. John says, no. Um, Janine says, talked about it, but never done it. Renee, I've made some practice MP3s. Beth says, no way, Jose. I'm still working on my flipping book. Beth is one of my students for another course that I have, and she is rocking it out there. So Lisa says no. Debbie says no. Okay, great. So pretty much it looks like nobody has yet started a podcast yet, which is perfect because that's really what this is all about today. So, I'm actually starting a podcast here. It's going to be launching it in December, which I'm really pumped about. And the guy that I go to for all of my questions is my friend Ian Robinson. Now, Ian is the mastermind behind Freedom Podcasting, and he's also the guy who behind a lot of these huge podcasts on iTunes, like Lewis House's School of Greatness, and a bunch of other podcasts that I know he's going to share with us a little bit about. But Ian and I met a couple months ago. We went through this leadership program, this leadership workshop together, and we just hit it off. This guy is a beast when it comes to CrossFit, and he's just a fun guy to be around, and definitely knows his stuff when it comes to podcasting. And I'm excited to introduce you guys to him. So, Ian, how you doing, my man?
Joshua, it is such a delight to be on here. Thank you so much for that introduction. You just warmed my little heart.
Hey, man. Well, you just seeing you monkey bar around in life always makes me smile. So
No
anyway, brother, I'm
problem.
gonna I'm gonna let you take it away here and get people rocking on how they can get their podcasts started this week.
Oh, awesome. Okay. Well, thanks so much for everybody coming out and jumping on this webinar. It's really exciting to talk to everyone, so I really appreciate you guys. Oklahoma, California, it's so exciting to be able to do this. These live internet shows, and it's just an honor that you guys take the time out of your day to come on and talk. So I just really want to say thank you for that. Um, so what we're going to do, we're going to talk about how to start your podcast this week. I've started a lot of podcasts, so I know the stuff like the back of my hand, but I want to get down to the core of it, like why to podcast. And cultivating celebrity is like one of the most important things about podcasting, right? Because if you're able to cultivate a celebrity, get your name out there, and create a following of people that really appreciate you, then when you want to create things, you have a lot of ammo and position to be able to make amazing things happen. Another point is to establish authority. So with your podcast, if you like, there's a lot of really niche podcasts. You see on the right here, we've got a lot of different sort of like Mark Maron and Joe Rogan and these guys. But then if you have like a really niche thing, like I went on today and I saw that there's a GM podcast, like a podcast that talks specifically about General Motors business operations. And the guy who runs that is going to be an authority, and anybody who has any questions about General Motors things is going to talk to him. He brings people on that talk about cars and what's happening in the future with them, and so therefore he is the go-to guy, and that gives him a lot of power in the industry and in the thing that he's passionate. Podcasts are a great way to grow leads and sales. I've got a whole section on that. It's been really exciting for me just to see the people that I've come in contact with. Million-dollar businesses have grown over the last year or 2 years just purely through the authentic relationship that you get from being a podcaster. And then strengthening your network. So I run a podcast called the Love Affair Travel Podcast, and I talk to all sorts of location-independent entrepreneurs and strengthening. And so I can just reach out to these guys and send them a message, be like, hey, I'd love to have you on my show. And they will jump on the phone with me and talk to me for an hour. By the end of it, we're closely integrated, and I can call on any of these people now as you know, almost like friends, really. And I've only spoken with them on Skype for an hour. So these are sort of the powers and the benefits of podcasting. And in this slide, I want to talk to you guys about how podcasting works, the movements that are happening in the space, and then how you can make it yours in 2014. So as you can see, this is me and my geeky face in New Zealand. I'll be your host, and if you guys have any questions, feel free to speak up anytime throughout the presentation, because I love answering questions just as much as I love talking about myself.
Yeah,
So
and
what
I'll
we're
just
gonna
I'll
do
just
today-
interject there real quick, Ian. So if you guys have any questions throughout the presentation, you know, just go ahead and throw those in the chat box there, and then I'll be fielding those to Ian. Either you know, we'll really get to most of those towards the end, but go ahead and throw those in throughout the presentation, and we'll make sure and get those answered for you. So just use that chat box for it. All right, brother, go ahead.
Joshua Sprague. Okay, so what we're going to be doing, I'm going to talk about a brief history about how I ended up in this podcasting game, and then I'm going to talk about the current projects I'm working on. I'm going to tell you about the mission of Freedom Podcasting, which is my business. We're going to try to bang through that pretty quickly. And then I'm going to talk about the state of the nation in podcasting. It's a constantly evolving thing. So I'm going to talk about the growing audience, the growing market, and then also the mechanics of how to podcast. So I'm going to actually talk about the specific details about how physically, you know, these get out and into your iPhone, and then why 2014 is a great time to podcast. And then we'll talk about the details of how to get started this week. So let's get started. Let's see. So a brief history about me. I graduated from university and I decided I wanted to travel the world. I jumped on a plane pretty much immediately and flew to Australia, and I learned how to surf. I spent about 2 months surfing, but then I ran out of money, so I had to get a job, and I wanted to work in agriculture, so I started picking fruit, which was really fun. In Australia, you make a lot of money. I was making like $900 to $1,000 a week with no expenses because I was working all the time. But it's really hard. I had a mission, though. I was saving to go to South Africa, so I flew to South Africa. I worked in the World Cup. This is a picture here with me and my friends in a box office, like looking down on Cape Town Stadium. This is like Greenpoint Stadium. We went to every single game, and we just had a blast. As I was going through, I ran out of money again in South Africa, though, so this is like a continuous thing that was starting to bug me. But I still had this dream of being a cowboy in Australia. So I flew from South Africa back to Australia, and I got a job working on this like 500,000 acre cattle station in the middle of Queensland, which is just the middle of nowhere. It's like a 2-day drive just to get to the coast where there's the nearest big city. It was really, really adventurous, but again, I was able to save up like $2,000 or $3,000, and then it just started depleting as soon as I was there. You see like a pattern going where I make a lot of money and then it goes down. Then I ended up, so from that cattle station, I drove out to the Great Barrier Reef spot, and I started working on a boat. And we got to do these research dives. We got to go scuba diving. And I really got close with the people there that were running the operation. You can see my friend Eric and I here. We were like out on a research trip where we actually found a new species of seahorse using like one of these crazy cameras on my left. We were with a bunch of marine biologists. We weren't really actually doing that, but it was a really great time. And that was actually where I met my wife, Veronica. She was working as she was actually living there because the people who owned the boat were there. So Veronica and I fell in love, and we drove down the east coast of Australia, and then we flew to Hawaii. We spent 6 months living in Hawaii. You can see these pictures of Veronica and I, and we ended up getting married after that 6 months. While I was there, I was running a biofuel business, which was basically we would take fryer oil from restaurant kitchen fryers and filter it for the restaurants, so they would pay us to come in, and it would save them money. And then we would pour all that filtered oil into our diesel engines, and we were able to run our cars on that. So it was a really, really cool bio fuel company. But the problem was it was like $3,000 worth of equipment, and my wife left the country. So this $3,000 worth of equipment sitting in Hawaii, that is something that I know is a profitable business. It's fantastic. I like doing it. It's green energy stuff. We're living on the North Shore of Oahu. But my wife leaves the country for a month to go to a friend's wedding, and she can't get back in because of immigration. And so we start figuring out the paperwork, the kind of stuff that it's going to take for her to get into the country. And I find out that it's going to take about 2 years for her to actually enter the country as my wife. So we were like floored. It was just something that we couldn't get over. And I had to decide between spending time with my wife or going out of the country. So I left the country and left the business behind. I actually gave the investor my car as an exchange, so he kind of got a lot of money back, and it was kind of an even thing. But I was just floored. And I remember leaving Hawaii with the I remember leaving Hawaii, and I was reading The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss, and I was just like, I cannot let this happen again. So I started a path towards location independence, and the first thing I started doing was listening to podcasts. You can see the slides on here. You've got like Pat Flynn's Smart Passive Income, Foolish Adventure, Virtual Business Lifestyle with Chris Ducker, Lifestyle Business Podcast. All of these podcasts help put me in a completely different space on what it meant to start a business and how to do these things. And they were talking about doing it in a location independent way, which would save me from being, as long as I ran a business that was location independent, having immigration issues and my wife not being able to enter the country would never kill my business again. So that's what I did. Chris Ducker had set up an internship, and he was one of the best business podcasters at the time. And out of, I think, 150 people, I won, and I got to go to the Philippines and work with him on how to produce podcasts, which was awesome. Chris Ducker is a really inspirational guy. He gets more done in a week than most people do in a lifetime. So I got to learn so much from him. He put me on to the first podcast. He recorded the whole series of Outsourced to the Philippines, which is a niche podcast specifically targeted towards business owners looking to export their business to the Philippines, export their business processes. And so he gave me all the audio files, and he gave me a bunch of information about how to do the podcast, and I spent a bunch of time putting it all together. And I was really surprised with the workload. I loved podcasts, and I realized that anybody who wants to do a podcast right now is going to be dealing with these huge workflow issues, and it was a business in its hands. So yeah, Chris Ducker introduced me to this guy named Lewis Howes, who anybody who knows Lewis Howes is probably like, yes, because that was one of the best introductions of my life. Lewis Howes and I started working immediately on the School of Greatness podcast. So I helped him come up with the idea of the introduction and stuff. Obviously, Lewis is a powerhouse, so he was driving force on this, and we put together the School of Greatness podcast. And the School of Greatness podcast now is one of the top podcasts on iTunes. You know, every month it's growing, and every week we do something new and exciting that changes the landscape of it. So Freedom Podcasting was born from Lewis as the anchor client. We've put together a bunch of podcasts. You can see the Money Pillow. We've had a piece in putting all these ones together. Chris Ducker's, the Love Affair Travel podcast is mine. This one, Jonathan Fields' Good Life Project, is a fantastic podcast. If anybody is looking for a really inspirational podcast about life and business and how they all interact with each other. So yeah, Josh, is there anybody out there who has any podcasts that they really love?
Yeah, guys, that's a great question. Like, what podcast do you guys currently listen to at this moment? I mean, I know I listen to a lot of the podcasts that Ian is actually behind. But I'm curious about what some of you guys listen to. Of course, I'm good friends with Lewis
Thank you.
Howes as well. That's really how Ian and I met. So there's definitely a connection there. Renee says Pat Flynn. I do love the Smart Passive Income podcast. That's a great,
Absolutely.
great, great
I got a crush
podcast.
on Pat Flynn.
Seth Godin or Godin. I never know how to say his last name. Is it Godin? I think it's Godin,
I
isn't
think
it?
it's Godin. I'd say
Godin?
Godin, but it
I
looks
don't
like
know.
Godin.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got
Seth
a few
Godin. Oh, that podcast is fantastic. It's
Godin.
Star
Everybody's
School.
like
Seth
telling me Godin, Godin. Jeez, Joshua, you should know how to say Seth Godin's freaking name. Jimmy Moore, Chris Kresser, Melissa says, okay, so we've got a few different podcasts that people are listening to. Awesome. So people know what podcasts are about for sure, and they're actively listening to them. So I'll let you
Yeah,
rock on, brother.
that's fantastic. Yeah. So basically, that was the birth of Freedom Podcasting. It's growing pretty consistently now. I'm really happy with it, and we're looking at all sorts of different ways to do it. And that brings me to the mission statement of Freedom Podcasting. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to talk about my mission statement that we created for this. We believe that our mission is to produce the highest quality podcasts on the internet, and we believe that the technology has created a space where high quality media on demand can replace old, inefficient, eruption focused mass media system. So interruption focused, anybody who likes Seth Godin knows that that's pretty much a big core of his kind of philosophy. So we provide these like services to artists and entrepreneurs to share and grow their authority. We believe media on demand is more valuable to both consumer and producer, and our work makes the world a better place. So I believe that podcasting is a way to make the world a better place, and that's like a core motivation for me to jump on here and speak with you guys, despite the fact that I got a huge crush on Josh Spragg. The goal for me is what's So I love podcasts, and I really believe that it's a better place, and it makes the world a better place. And all of you out there have a very specific thing, a message to the world that you can see. If you guys all like take a look at your thumb, and you see like there's a fingerprint there, and yours is different. There's nobody else in the universe that has that thing, and so everybody out there has something to contribute. It's just kind of a question of whether you're going to be daring enough, and then slightly whether or not the technology will get in the way. But if you have that daring and that drive to create a podcast, and you have something that's valuable, then I encourage you to do it, because our mission is to help you in that in any way we can. Okay, the future of podcasting. Like a lot of people will say podcasting's dead. And back in 2008, it had a big surge, and then it went down for a long time. And just in the last 2.5 years, it was when the comedians started jumping back in. So guys like Joe Rogan, Mark Maron, and there's a litany of really awesome. Bill Burr came out. Bill Burr's podcast is really huge, and these ones grew it. And that was a few years ago. And as you can see here on the right, it says that this is an article. I took a picture of it from a Time magazine, and it actually shows that in 2006. There were about 11% people knew what podcasts were, and it's been growing. You can see 2%, 6%, 4%, 1%, 2%, 4%. So it's been growing consistently for the last 6 years, which is really inspiring. And I really think that it's going to continue to grow really quickly. I mean, the numbers that we're seeing coming through are really inspirational. A lot of things that are really interesting too, because they're setting up new cars with podcasts now, like podcasting potential. Things like Stitcher, Zoom, TuneIn, these things are making it so that podcasting is going to become an integrated part of our media. The biggest thing that was holding podcasting back is that it was way harder than radio. You couldn't just turn on a podcast. You have to download it. You have to be a bit tech savvy. Right now, it's still a little bit tech savvy. You still need to be able to open the app with Stitcher, download it, open it, and then select a podcast to play it. So it's getting better. It's not quite where it's going to be in 2 years, but the growth potential is really exciting. Okay, so one of the things that we promised we would talk about is the reason to podcast and how it grows your audience. Okay, so the thing about podcasting that makes it different than anything else is that it's authentic. Authenticity is the path to success in podcasting. Like, if fakeness and not being real. People are attracted to podcasters because they have an intimate relationship with them. Pat Flynn talks about this. Anybody who's listened to Pat Flynn's podcast feels like they know him, like they're his friend. Aubrey Marcus uses this, his company On It. So if you ever listen to podcasts and they say we're sponsored by onnit.com. So that's Aubrey Marcus making that stuff happen. Aubrey Marcus, he said that 92% of his sales are attributed to podcasts, and that he won't work with anybody who doesn't legitimately use On It products and enjoy them. He talked about that in a Lewis Howes podcast. So if you check out the School of Greatness with Aubrey Marcus, it is a great podcast where they talk about the benefits in business and in just general to podcasts. And for the comedians, guys like Joey Diaz, Joe Rogan, Duncan Trussell, these guys are now able to travel around the country because of their podcasts and sell out shows. They've got incredible videos where they're walking into sold out stadiums of people just screaming their names to do stand-up. That did not happen 10 years ago when this stuff didn't exist. So it's really awesome. This authenticity is the path to success. If you're going to build a podcast, I encourage you to be extremely authentic. Look at that. I switched the slides around. Okay, so let's get into the mechanics of podcasting. If you're out there and you want to start your podcast and you want to know the step-by-step way to do it, this is it. Number one, you record your audio. Whether it's an interview or you just talk into the mic, you record it. It's best to use the easiest Skype recording software that I've found is called Piezo. Piezo is a really simple Mac program, and it's got a dynamic compressor on it so that it won't allow you to peak the vocals. So you can record and you'll be able to do post-production afterwards. After you do that, it's best. Yeah, go ahead.
How do you spell that, brother?
Piezo.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you for stopping me. If anybody has any questions, feel free to ask too, because I'm kind of a podcast geek. So if I start going kind of fast or anything, I can definitely slow down and answer any questions.
Point two here with this recording process is that, like, with podcasting, the audio quality really is important, and like the best podcasts out there on iTunes, the most successful ones, they do have good quality sound, and I know that doesn't necessarily mean you have to spend all this money to do that, but good quality is important.
Yeah, and you really don't have to spend lots of money. I mean, I use a Meteor mic, M-E-T-E-O-R, Meteor mic. I think it costs $80. It's like the size of a hand grenade, for lack of a better term. But it's a USB mic. You don't need to carry around a mixer, and that'll get you pretty nice quality sound. If you record in .aiff, you can do a lot of post-production value in that. And it's pretty easy. And you use a program called Audacity, which is a free audio program. So that gets me to point number 2 here, which is polish. So this is where you actually go through your audio file that you recorded and you listen to it, and you can render silence. There's a way to render silence. You highlight it and press Command L. And as you're running through the Audacity file, you make like a blog post and you write up a bunch of stuff about what you guys talk about. That's polishing it. And then you levelate it. That's part of the polishing process too. So you export the file, levelate it. And then once you do that, you've got this really beautiful sounding audio file, and you mix it together. So you throw music in there. I use GarageBand for mixing. It comes stock with all Macs, but you could also use Audacity to mix everything together. I appreciate GarageBand because it's really visible, and you can just see what you're doing and you can feel it more, whereas in Audacity it's more of like a robotic process. So once you mix it together, you export it as an MP3. You get like a file that's anywhere between like 20 to 200 megabytes. You do a tagging process, which is really important. A lot of people miss tagging, but that makes it so that if you ever look at your iPhone and there's podcasts that doesn't show up with art in the thing, that means that they forgot to tag it. That's a quick little pro tip right there. Like even some of the really nice podcasts make mistakes of not tagging it, like Joe Rogan Experience does that sometimes. But he's produced like 400 shows now, so what are we going to say to that? Uploading. You want to make sure you upload your podcast to a robust server, because you're going to get more downloads than your shared server can provide. So that's where you use something like Libsyn or or doing SoundCloud now, which is kind of the future of it. That's like a undercover thing. We're working on that right now. Once you upload it, you link that audio file to your website and you hit publish, and that renders it onto your RSS feed, and that RSS feed goes out to all the platforms. I think I talk about this in the next slide, so I think I'll go on. Does anybody have any questions about the mechanics of production?
Yeah, just keep rocking it for now, Ian. We'll field those questions here in a little bit.
Awesome. Okay,
Cool.
cool. So number two is okay, yeah, I'm just going to go back over the mechanics just a little bit because I think that it's a bit complicated, and I'm trying to qualify it just as much as I can. So you write your blog post just as if you were writing like a regular blog post, but you have an audio element embedded into there. And so that audio element is going to display itself on a specified RSS feed that is embedded in your website. All of this stuff sounds really hard and really like confusing, but it's not as bad as you might think. But so once you get your RSS feed set up, then you can say, like, so my RSS feed, for example, is loveaffairtravel.com/feed/podcast. And I can copy and paste that and send it to iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, BlackBerry, and SoundCloud. And all of those platforms will display my content. Like, let that sink in for a second, because there are millions of people on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, BlackBerry, and SoundCloud, and you're able to serve and up your stuff on all those platforms at once, and they want you there. So it is a really great way to be seen all over the place. For those of you who know Pat Flynn's like Be Everywhere strategy, this is like being in a whole, you'll be on every smartphone around with a few clicks just by having an RSS feed that's set up to display audio file. iTunes is the most important one, though. We get about 80% of our downloads from iTunes. So you want to get onto the new and noteworthy section. This is a section of the iTunes category where they display podcasts that just launched, and they do it for the first 8 weeks. And the key is to get there is you want to get a bunch of downloads. And some people think it's reviews. I think it's mostly downloads, but you want to get a bunch of downloads and reviews for the first 8 weeks, and then you get put up to the top of the iTunes category, and so you'll be above podcasts like Joe Rogan and This American Life and these ones. So that's how you get the massive exposure right when you start. Okay, cool. So that is the mechanics of podcasting. It's a bit of a detailed process, but it is massively powerful right now. So the question is, why to start podcasting in 2014? I think I talked about this a little bit earlier, but again, you want to increase your authority. If you're the expert at something, you can have a podcast there, and you will be the go-to person to be there. You can get your community engagement. You know, the people who listen to podcasts feel like they know people, and that's a really powerful thing. Like, oh my gosh, Amelia and Kate. And so yeah, sorry about this, people. My reminders popped up. Networking potential. That was, again, what I was talking about, how you reach out to the people that are in your space and you talk to experts. You learn things through that networking potential thing. You also gain a network, and it's also lots of fun. And at the end of the thing, you cultivate celebrity too. So people look to you as somebody to follow. You know, your Twitter numbers will go up, your Facebook likes, your Pinterest, whatever you're into. Wherever you tell people that you're at, they will go to you because they've listened to you and actually invested their time and energy into you. So I have this opportunity for everybody. It's called Start Podcasting in January 2014. The goal of this thing is aligned with my mission, and it's to make it so that more people start excellent podcasts next year. So I would love to see people turning off radio and mainstream media and listening to podcasts from people in their vicinity and in their communities, because I think that would make the world a better place. So I have created this 4-week course where it's pretty much, we talk about accountability for interviews. This is where we set up everybody for the first week. We set up the interviews. Everybody agrees to come in, and we work together to set up the first recordings. So for that first week, we all go out into the field and get interviews and get audio recordings and come back. And then for the second week, we work on the detailed instructions of it. So this is where you actually get process documents that we use in Freedom Podcasting to produce podcasts without errors. So it is step-by-step details, and they've got screencasts in them They talk to you specifically about how to polish things, how to manage things like pops, these sorts of things. There's a lot of little details in there, and we make it as clean and succinct as possible. And this is what I actually hand off to people on my team. I can hand them raw audio files and these detailed instructions, and they're able to just bang it out. Also, this is also going to involve a half-hour weekly coaching call with me where we talk about your show, the things that are holding you up, and we'll break through them right away so that you can get out there and have your podcast out. So we go through all aspects of the podcast creation process, which is a lot, but it's also very manageable with the documents that we've created. So upon completion of the course, after this 4 weeks thing is done, your podcast will go live. You'll be submitting an RSS feed to iTunes, Stitcher, Zune, SoundCloud, and all these other ones, and you will actually see yourself on top of iTunes New and Noteworthy with luck. I mean, the iTunes New and Noteworthy is much to do with your hustle. We'll work together to spread the word of all of the podcasts that are coming out at the time, and I would love to just see. I'm going to cap this at like 20 people because there's no way I can handle more than 20 people, but I'd love to see everybody topping the charts with the iTunes, you know what I mean? Because that would be just so remarkable, and we'd be making some awesome stuff, people. So my team and I usually charge about $2,000 to $6,000 to our process, to our clients for the beginning process, and that's the one that we're going to be going through next month. That's the show art creation, the RSS feed syndication, setting up the blog post, all of the extra work like that, and we can do all of that in January for the thing. And then afterwards, we usually charge $50 to $200 a show for podcast clients to put a single show up. And after this process, you'll know like the back of your hand how to produce a whole show. So you won't even have to worry about that cost. So basically, we're going to do this for like half of the cost of what we charge at the bottom to create a show that's set up. So I invite you guys to sign up now. If you're ready to get serious about the accountability of putting your business and organization through the most powerful new media outlet available today, I encourage you to go and sign up. So the URL is freedompodcasting.com/podcastnow. Everybody could go there now. So it's freedompodcasting.com/podcastnow. And there you'll be able to sign up. It's a simple little PayPal process. And once you sign up, we will start underway. I will get in touch with you immediately, and we'll start hustling to get your interviews all set up so you're all set up to win on the first week of January when we start the show. So the idea is to make it so we all have really successful podcasts. Everybody who signs up will be able to launch something that establishes their authority, builds their network, and creates an awesome internet asset that they'll be able to take towards the next level. So you guys can go check that out now. I wanted to talk a little bit about the cost of it. Right now it's $9.97 because I'm really trying to work with people that are dead serious about this. I was thinking about the time intensiveness and the dedication that I'm going to put towards everybody who signs up for this is going to be it's going to be dead serious. Like, we're going to make sure that you have a show that is launched and looks perfect. So the price point is that high because it's at that point. I mean, I usually charge people like $2,000 like a week to do this, or $2,000 to set it up. But I'm doing it inexpensive because I want to see more awesome podcasts on the podcast platforms. So I encourage you guys to check that out. It's freedompodcasting.com/podcastnow.
Right on, brother. Well, I just posted that link there in the questions box for everybody. So if you really are serious about getting your podcast launched and getting it live, like to start out, the new year 2014 with a bang, then Ian is the guy to work with. Really, like, he has had some great success, as you can see. Working with guys like Lewis Howes and Chris Ducker and Jonathan Fields all of these really big name podcasters out here. So if you want to get it done the right way, making sure that everything is getting taken care of properly, then this is the guy to work with for sure. And to do it this way, where you're learning in the process, where you're being led and coached through this step by step along the way, is really, really valuable for you. So you know how to manage your podcast from there. And you also make sure that you're getting it off on the ground in the right way. Now we're gonna do a little bit of Q&A here. So any questions that you guys have, of course, like throw on in the question and answer box there, and we'll get those answered for you. I know there are some questions that have already come in as well, so we'll get to those, and I'll start throwing those at you here. Ian, sound good?
Heck yeah. Yeah, I love questions. Let's bring them.
All right,
I'm really
cool.
looking forward to this too. I challenge people to stump me too. Let's see if we can figure this out.
Stump Ian.
Stump the Robinson.
So one of the questions that had come in was from Debbie, and she was wondering what those servers were again that you mentioned. I think you had mentioned, is it Libsyn or something like that?
Yeah, Debbie. Libsyn's great. Libsyn is a really, really solid service. I've never even had any lag time. They're like the fastest ones. SoundCloud's coming out with a new one, and we're toying with it. But if you're gonna start, you want to start on Libsyn right now. And yeah, so Libsyn's the best one. You can use Amazon S3 is another option I've heard people use, and yeah, that's the best one.
And just for clarity, this is where you want to host your audio files for your podcast, right? Just so everybody's clear.
So you've got your main website, like, say it's Debbie.com, and Debbie.com/feed/podcast will be where her address for her RSS feed is, and she'll just be using Libsyn as like a source to feed that media. Because ideally, Debbie, what you're gonna want to have like 2,000 people downloading your podcast a day, and so what you need to do is have that really powerful media stored on those hosts that are ready to deal with that sort of volume, which is a host like Libsyn. And you can start for $5 a month.
Okay, cool. Right on. So got another question, which is, in the course, will you be covering like artwork and identifying, the right show idea for you, so it's differentiated for people?
Yeah, we will. I'm going to be doing the coaching calls. It's really exciting to be able to work with everybody now, because for everybody that signs up right now, I'm going to be able to get ahead of time, and we're going to really be we'll work it out ahead of time. Like, I'll actually jump on Skype and we'll do emails and figure out where you're at. One of the things about podcasting, and this is why I say record first, is because when you record, you figure out what your show is going to be about. So a lot of people say their show is going to start off like one thing in their mind, but when they start talking to people and following their passions or the interests of their business, it becomes a very succinct, detailed thing, and it becomes clear after recording. So we're absolutely going to coach through the process of that, and we've got a system of actual integration in which you're going to do that. So yeah, the course is going to be really exciting, because it's going to be sort of a self-identification process as well.
Okay, cool. Now I know like a lot of people, there are a lot of food bloggers in my audience. There are a lot of people that are already doing online businesses and speaking and coaching and all those kinds of things. What would you say to people who are wondering, okay, like, is a niche too small or too big for me to enter in the podcasting world?
I would say that no niche is too small, because what it is, there's a snacks podcast, and it's hilarious. It was so funny. I listened to it forever. It's really like, whether or not you're going to be an entertainer or provide really specific value, is sort of a balance, and you can kind of play in between those two things. But I would say no niche is too small, because there's niches about immigration reform, and I mean that's a huge topic, sure, but every niche has these are like all the podcast statistics are entirely global, right? every time he's put out a podcast, everybody in the world can see it. So, any niche, like anything that you're into, and if you're passionate about it, there's going to be an audience there, and you'll have super specific traffic that comes to your podcast to listen to you. So I say no niche is too small. And yeah, that's my perspective on that, Joshua Sprague.
Brother. Yeah, and I mean, one of the things too that I think podcasting is so amazing for is that it's one of the only mediums where people will willingly download your content and spend 30, 45, 60 minutes just like listening to you. You think about other forms of content with connecting with your audience and building that relationship with them, like a blog post or a quick YouTube video or even an infographic or something like that. These are all really, really fast, disposable media, where people
Absolutely.
don't really spend a lot of time engaging with you. But when a person, goes to the gym or they're on their way to work or they're out for a walk and they choose to plug you into their ears and listen to you, for 40 minutes and do that regularly and have a subscription to you, because they subscribe to your podcast for free. There's just no way that you're not going to build a deeper level of rapport and of credibility with that person. And so, that really translates into your own online presence and the relationships and the connection that you're going to build with your audience. So it really is one of those really, really, really powerful mediums that's only going to get bigger in 2014. I hadn't actually seen those statistics that you'd sent before, Ian, or that you showed before, where right now about, what was it, like 28% or so of people know what a podcast is compared to 11% in 2008. And I remember in 2008, everybody was like, podcasting's dead. Like, it's so dead.
Yeah.
And you think about that, people were saying that when it was at 11% of people who actually knew what it was. And now only 30%, at best know what it is. So there's like massive, massive room for this to grow. And it is truly one of those marketing opportunities in 2014 that can really, really differentiate yourself. I know.
And companies like Stitcher are really making it much nicer, because Stitcher takes all the podcasts, all the RSS feeds, and they simplify the files so that you can stream these files over your phone, and they're even smaller files. Like, it's really exciting. Like, the technology advances in podcasting are the things that are going to make it go really, really quick. And I feel like it's a really comfortable space. It's a really effective place to be in for the next like 2 or 3 years, especially if you get in now.
Cool, man. Yeah, it's totally true. It's totally true. Okay, got another question. Are these group coaching sessions? How does that work?
No, they're personal ones. They're like half an hour on the phone.
Okay, they're
with me,
personal
and I'll
ones. So this is a
specifically talk to them.
personalized coaching,
Right.
working one-on-one with you then?
That's right.
All right, man,
That's right.
is
It's a serious thing. I really want everybody to succeed, I mean, this is a big deal to me. I'm going to dedicate the month to it. So, everybody, it's going to be an intimate relationship. I'm going to be pushing people too. If it's like, oh, I didn't get my recording done, it's like, well, you're going to miss next week, because next week we're going to start mixing it together. So,
awesome.
It's great. Everybody who signs up now, I'm going to be able to help them, coach and get them going for the new year. So we're ready to rock on. I think it's January 6th is when we start. So whatever the first Monday is.
Right on, right on. So Ian here is providing one-on-one personalized coaching for a seriously reduced rate. So your podcast is essentially guaranteed to get up by the end of January and be rocking and live in the new year. So
provided
definitely,
you do the work, though. There's a lot of work that everybody needs to do.
of course,
So
that's
it's
always the
a
case, though, isn't it?
I don't want everybody to think like, oh, I'll just do this and everything's gonna be fine. No, I mean it's a commitment, but if you're serious about making 2014 a big year for your business and getting to the top of the charts and becoming an authority, reaching out to people, going past your comfort zones, then this is the program.
Right on, man. Yeah, and definitely think about that. I mean, like, imagine for yourself, like, what it's going to be like to launch that podcast and how good that's going to feel early in the new year, and have that as a source that is like sending you leads, that's building an audience, that is really helping you differentiate yourself. Like I know I work a lot with food bloggers a lot, and I know there are quite a few food bloggers that are already on this presentation anyway. And we've talked about that a lot. How specifically for food bloggers, like podcasting can be one of those really, really great ways to differentiate yourself because so few people in that space are actually doing it. And you take a look around and like see what people are doing. Are they active? Are people in your space active with podcasts?
Yeah, and
And if they're
Joshua,
not,
another
then
thing,
you have
like,
this amazing opportunity. And even if they are, it's still like it's barely tapped. It really is
yeah.
barely tapped.
And one of the things about podcasting that's so remarkable is you really engage with people. I get the warmest messages from my Love Affair of Travel podcast. People say, thanks so much for that. Like mine specifically about entrepreneurship and world travel. A lot of people want to travel the world and start their own businesses, but they never do it. My podcast is all about that. And I get these messages that people tell me that like, my life's changed. I was working this job I didn't like, and then I left, and like I've got my e-commerce business growing now. And that is like, whoa, all those months that I put into it, it's like, wow. I mean, if I affected somebody's life that much, I mean, it's just something, there's no words for it. It's awesome.
Absolutely, man. Okay, so got another question here, which is what's going to be covered in each weekly session?
That's a fantastic question. I actually laid it out on the page at freedompodcasting.com/podcast now.
Okay.
It's towards the bottom. So if you go there, you can see it. I can't remember exactly how it works out because it took me, I put like a day into like thinking about the workflow and everything and the way that it would work. But essentially, the first week is interviews. We're going to get the interviews together and get recordings done so that you've got a file full of stuff that you can meld into a podcast. The second week, we're going to learn how to level it, polish the interviews, write the blog posts. And no, we won't write the blog posts until I think the third week. And then, but we'll have the audio files like rocking and looking good. We'll also tag them so we're ready to go. And the third week, we set up the RSS feed, upload everything, link all the audio files into the blog post. And then the fourth week, we set a launch date, submit the feeds to RSS, and then have like a social media and a Hootsuite strategy so that you're setting out scheduled social media posts and email lists to your email so that everybody downloads on that first week. So you jump up to the new and noteworthy section, in which case you'll be in front of the world, and then it'll become a self-fulfilling prophecy because people download your podcast because you're on the new and noteworthy section. That's the strategy. That's what we're going to do.
Right on. So we're really taking people from concept and interviews all the way to the launch process.
Yeah.
Okay, right on. Cool. So, Ian, here's a question from Johnny, which is, what would be the first step you would take if you could do it again to starting your podcast?
Start recording immediately. Johnny, if you're going to start right now, like as soon as you get off this webinar, send someone an email and say, hey, I want you on my podcast. Can we do a Skype date on Monday at 2:00? That's your action step. As soon as you record,
get in action.
Yeah, as soon as you got that five recordings in your audio bank, then it's just simply a technical issue that you have to deal with. And whether you want to do it with yourself or use a podcasting service like Freedom Podcasting, then it becomes more of the details. The recording's the thing that everybody's going to delay. That's like the hard part, and that's what makes people who make things happen, the people that make things happen.
Right on. Cool. So the moral of the story, get in action one way or the other. Get in action because the podcast isn't going to happen unless you reach out and start connecting with people. And of course, Ian's going to show you the process that he's used to reach out to people and connect with people and get people, like Lewis Howes and other people to be able to work with him. And Ian brings lots of awesome people on his podcast as well. So how you can reach out to them and get them on your show, I'm sure you're going to be covering that too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually have process documents on how to do that we're going to share with everybody.
So for those people that love documents and processes.
You can check out my podcast too if you want to see my voice and check to see if I'm legit. Like it's called loveaffairtravel.com. I'm at 30 episodes right now. Um, it's a kind of a cool website. I put a lot of work into it and I get a lot of cool feedback from that one.
Right on.
Loveaffairtravel.com.
Yeah, and it's a great podcast. It really is. It's
Thanks,
it's
Josh.
cool. It's cool to it's been cool to see also, like how niche all these podcasts are, right? I mean,
Hmm.
they really can be endless, and you really can make a name for yourself in a lot of different spaces. Like there are gardening podcasts, there are podcasts on like cooking traditional foods, there are podcasts on, how to be a great parent. Of course, that's a big space, but all sorts of things. I actually can't believe that you said that there was a podcast on GM, operations. Like that blows
Yeah.
my mind. But
Well, the
obviously,
first one I
there's
did was
people that want to
outsource to
know
the
that.
Philippines. Yeah.
Yeah,
Outsourcing specifically to the Philippines, not like outsourcing in general, but outsourcing to the Philippines, which is, it's bizarre. There's snack time. Snack time is so funny. Those guys get paid to eat snacks and talk about it. And they, they like snack companies get in touch with them and send them their snacks. And they jump on the microphones and they just eat snacks and talk about it. And I don't know how I found it, but it was like in the top charts at one point. So, I mean, there's a lot of different really cool niche. There's like Walking in Rome. Something. Rick Steves. He's got like a Walking
travel
in
guy.
Rome
Yeah,
podcast. Yeah, it's fantastic. So that's address the niche issue. Issue.
yeah.
You can make it really small.
Okay, so another question just came in from Debbie, which is how often do you put out a new podcast?
I was doing bi-weekly with Love Affair Travel, and I've stepped it down to weekly. Um, some of my clients put it out. Almost all of my clients put it out weekly. A guy like Dan Carlin, who's got one of the best podcasts on iTunes, the most well received. He gets the most attention. He's really in. Uh, he doesn't have a schedule. His Hardcore History is one of the best podcasts on iTunes, in my opinion. And he'll put it out. He'll miss Hardcore History. It will take 2 months to put out sometimes, 2 or 3 months to put out. But when he puts it out, it's awesome. So there's no rules in podcasting. That's one of the most exciting things about it. You can put out a daily podcast like John Lee Dumas, who did Entrepreneur on Fire. I mean, he's making like 68,000 a year doing that. So, or I'm sorry, 68,000 a month. So there's anything that you could do. There's a 10-minute podcast where they put one out like 2 times a week, and it really depends on your content creation strategy and how much you have to say and how much time you want to put into each show.
Right on. Cool. Yeah, it's a great question. It's one that's one I know a lot of people think about, which is, hey, how much should I be doing this? Because it is content and it takes time to create, of course. So I think that once a week, I've seen that work really well for a lot of people, and it seems to be manageable at that rate as well too. Where I don't know how that guy Entrepreneur on Fire does daily podcasts or whatever he does. Like
He's
to
a
me,
machine, man.
that's just crazy. I mean, you have to have a
Ex-military
big
machine.
team for that. But yeah, but I think aiming for once a week or at least once every other week is definitely a great place for people to start. So definitely.
Absolutely.
Well, if you guys have other questions, please throw them in the question box, and we'll get those answered for you because we're gonna wrap up here pretty soon. But again, if you're really serious about getting started with your podcast in 2014, then this is a great opportunity to jump on board and get personalized hand holding and coaching from Ian. And he's made some of the most he's the man behind some of the most popular podcasts on iTunes. So this is a great person to have on your team, walking you through all the tech stuff, which can be a little overwhelming for a lot of people. I won't lie, but I know he's done this a lot and can really simplify that process for you. So, if you're ready to get on board, there's that link there, freedompodcasting.com/podcast now. And of course, you can get signed up for that. And Ian, is there like a contact information or anything like that for people that might have additional questions or follow up with you?
Yeah. You can contact me. I'm on all social media at Independent Ian. So Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, all those ones at Independent Ian.
Okay.
You can email me at ian@freedompodcasting.com if you have any questions about this stuff.
Okay, cool. So for
Yeah.
any people who might have additional questions, ian@freedompodcasting.com, or just any other questions that you might have there. That sounds like a good spot to go.
Yeah, I'm really interested in helping people with podcasts because it's the mission of my organization. So I'm really open to talking with you guys. So please reach out. Yeah, follow me and send me an email if you have any questions about the program. And yeah,
Cool.
thanks so much for having me on, Joshua. And
Got another question here that just came in here, Ian, real quick.
Okay.
This is from Kim. She was saying, is this going to be offered at any other time? That's what she was wondering. So just wanted to see what's going on with that. My sense is that this is from what we've chatted about, this is really a unique opportunity to be able to get in at this coaching at this price and to get started on the right foot in 2014. So I don't know how often you're going to be doing this, but I would say regardless, it's a good time to jump on board. So
yeah, I mean, I'll probably never do this again. Like this is kind of like a one-off thing, and it's sort of like a mission for me. Well, as the leadership program that we're going through is really about affecting massive change and providing huge value to the world. As to whether or not this will be something that I can do in the future, I'm pretty sure I won't be able to. The company's growing. I'm going to have to take some like different roles in the future, but January is going to be a time where I can really buckle down and do that kind of thing. So I wouldn't say I'm promising that this will never happen again, but I do not really see myself doing it a lot of times in the future.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you want to get on board, this is a good time to do this. Another question just came in too, which is there a payment plan option for this? I don't know if you have something like that or not.
I'd say email me at ian@freedompodcasting.com.
Okay.
A lot of times payment plans are sort of a way to sort of like not commit to things. And everybody who signs up, I want to be fully committed. So that's kind of why the price point's where it's at. But I'm definitely willing to work with people, especially if they've got a vision and a purpose that resonates, So email me, please. Whoever asked that question.
Cool.
Ian, it's ian@freedompodcasting.com.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, if you have any last minute questions, go ahead and throw those in there. Otherwise, we're going to wrap things up as we're just at the hour mark here. So, if you're ready to get on board with this, you really want to get your podcast launched and on the right track, launched the right way with one-on-one coaching with Ian. Go ahead and get signed up for that.
It's like all the secrets, everything that I screwed up with for the first 3 or 4 months worth of doing this. You don't have to do that. You're so lucky.
That's worth $1,000 for sure.
I would have done it.
Absolutely. Well, Ian, man, it's been a blast, dude, hanging out with you again. Appreciate you sharing some of your insights with my audience. Man, it's been good. It's been good chatting with you, brother. Thanks again.
Yeah, Joshua, I love you, man. So thank you very much for having me on, and thanks to everybody who tuned in. I really appreciate it. You guys have a great day, and I hope that your businesses grow.
Oh, did we lose audio? I think we lost some audio. I'm not sure if Ian just cut out there, but we'll wrap things up, guys. I hope all of you guys have an amazing, amazing rest of your day, and that you get your podcast off the ground, because this is one of the best things to do in 2014. So anyway, chat with you guys soon. All right. Take care. You guys still there? Sorry, I think my audio cut out. Ian, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I think my audio cut out. So we'll wrap things up here, guys, and talk to you all in the future. So have a great Thanksgiving week, everybody that's in the U.S. And yeah, rock it out. We'll talk to you guys soon.
Bye-bye.